almost got this transitional thing down. I was trying to hide the entire time low right, I think, on the monitor. I don't know if that worked or not, but anyway. John, hear you there. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday, which means a couple things. At least this week in particular, it means that we're going to be previewing the matchups that are happening in MLS tonight. One of them, Atlanta United and the Purple Team coming to town. And we've got both sides attached to that particular matchup. Tyler Pilgrim, as he always does, comes and drops by 9:15-ish. So in about 10 minutes, Tyler's going to bat leadoff, and we'll talk about what happened with Cincinnati, what is still happening with Cincinnati, and the Orlando matchup in and of itself. 10 o'clock, we're going to catch up with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV down in Orlando. Caught up with him yesterday and got his thoughts about the matchup coming up. Rotation possibly, because it's been a long run of unbeatens for the Purple Team in a row. So what do you anticipate in this one? So we go through what happened last week. We go through the 1-0 win on the weekend. We get you ready for that one. So Tyler's joining us here in hour one. Mike Gramajo is going to start things off in hour number two. We're going to preview everything else that is going on in and around Major League Soccer and all the news of the morning, and then we'll get you out of here around 11:05-ish. Tomorrow it's stacked. It looks like we're going to have Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red. We're going to get your Oppo research up and running for Atlanta United and Red Bulls. Then we are efforting our friend Rob Roddy from Georgia Impact. We'll see if we can slide him in tomorrow. And then we have the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. That's going to be tomorrow. So we're guest heavy and also reviewing everything that happened with Atlanta United and the Purple Team and everything else that happened in Major League Soccer. So we're going to have all of that to talk about tomorrow. Friday, it looks like, because of the news that happened last night out of St. Louis, Olaf Melberg only lasting 15 matches, and he is gone as head coach of All Caps. It looks like we're going to catch up with some friends in St. Louis, and we are going to catch up with Jake and Justin from the number one listening to type podcasty thing that is there. And so we'll catch up with the ball watching folks. That looks like that is going to be 10:30 Eastern on Friday morning. So it'll be efforting a guest in the 10 o'clock hour, as we always do. So we're probably going to start previewing the weekend in Major League Soccer. See if our friends Michael Parkhurst and or Greg Garza can join us at 9:30. Then we may have our MLS guest at 10. And then the ball watching folks, Jake and Justin, looks like they're going to join us at 10:30 tomorrow. But if you missed it, 15 matches, Olaf Melberg is gone as the head coach for All Caps. And so your St. Louis City SC2 head coach is going to be the one that is going to be taking over in the interim. And there are already reports, and like I said, this is, and I'm going to say reports, it's just stuff that's out there, as Dave Critchley is going to be taking over first team duties. Probably one of the first things he may do is call up Mekhi Joyner to help out with the offense. But you have some folks out there saying, and that's just the word that I'll use, that they are saying that you could have Adrian Heath as the new head coach. Like I said, it is just one dude saying something, but that's just the first name that popped up as an individual that could be the new head coach in St. Louis. So keep an eye on that coaching search. Dave Critchley is going to be the interim head coach called up from St. Louis City SC2. St. Louis City SC2. And we'll keep an eye on that. But the ball watching folks looks like they're going to be joining us at 10:30 on Friday morning to discuss this. Nothing like disposing of your head coach heading into a double match week. And I know that there was a lot of thought of, well, okay, by the way, so last week is at the end for Olaf Melberg. Is it? And then it wasn't. And then it wasn't after the results on the weekend. And then you get to the midweek, and then the night before a double match week, you sit there and you're like, yeah, we're done. So, like I said, we'll get into that as a part of everything going on in the weekend preview. And just for the record, All Caps They have the matchup on Saturday against San Jose, and they are going to be watching everyone else when it comes to the activity in the midweek. So they're just watching. They're not playing tonight, so they're just watching. And we're going to watch everybody else, but they've got San Jose at Energizer Park lead off on Saturday, and that one's on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. So that's the rundown of all the guestesses that we have plotted and planned for the remainder of the week. Morning four card. And yes, that is part of the conventional wisdom that we will be getting into here this morning, discussing everything involving Purple Team and all of that stuff. So let me roll through the promos really quickly before Tyler joins us coming up here in just a little bit. Once again, it is Olive and York. You can get our first ever jersey. You get to help out our Soccer for Good campaign and go back and take a peek at Greg Garza doing Blue Steel, modeling the shirt. Beyond Goals mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other, Kaiser Permanente across the front. You can go to Olive and York and get that. You can get it personalized either in all white or you can get it in the double blue, Carolina blue, Columbia blue, whatever you want to call it. So consult with Alex and Abby and help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Marshall Island Soccer Project, the Soccer Fed, they met their Kickstarter number. So it looks like, once again, that second full week in August, it's going to be the Outrigger Challenge Cup in Springdale, Arkansas. Yeah, we're probably going. And it'll be good to catch up with everybody there. If you want to continue buying stuff, as you should, to add to your stacks, everything comes from London except for the scarf. You go to their website, you go to their store, you'll see Maddie modeling the scarf. It's on the other side of this wall. Scarf you get from me, everything else you get from London. You can help out the Marshall Island Soccer Federation, as they are the last country on the planet to have a national soccer program, and we're helping them out with that. Then it is go to soccerdownhere.net. You can go to the store, get all of your new SDH gear with the new logo and everything. Then what you can do there is you can also get Jason has remodified the Attack and the Ruckus, and so that you can get that gear in his reimagined retro way. You can get that as well. Don't forget, you can become a Fanatico. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. You can become a Fanatico. I'm going to show you what the Chant app looks like. You can be a part of our conversations. Jason also has now started our afternoon quick hitters, the SDH PM version. You can get that as a part of what you're seeing with SDH as a Fanatico. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. $10 a year. You become a Fanatico. What do you do for $10 a year? You can help out Soccer for Good through SDH. Becoming a Fanatico, you get a lot of really cool discounts in the upper half of the state of Georgia and a resort in Costa Rica. I'm not kidding. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. And so you've got being a Fanatico, you've got Fanatis, ftz.co/soccerdownhere, which you can do. You can get all the BNs. Teise, Nuestro Telecidio, CDO2 for the fans. Teise, I want to say Tigo Sports and Canal 4 in the Central American matchups and leagues. You can see some of that now. I believe that's been picked up by the BNs as well. And you can also watch our buddy Nino Torres at Gold TV and watch the South American leagues and Portugal and everything in Europe through him. And you can find out what's going on. Libertadores, Sudamericana, it's all there. ftz.co/soccerdownhere. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out to continue to be a true degenerate when it comes to your entire existence, when it comes to watching soccer 24/7, 370 days a year. Let's see. Who have I forgotten? What have I forgotten? Fanaticos, Fanatis, SDH, SDH.net. Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. What you can also do there is you can get the Grady Baby gear. The Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta t-shirts and sweatshirts, the gold embossed letters, and it is either on red or black t-shirt or sweatshirt. The boss can't wear red for obvious reasons, so she has taken all of the black color, the black tinted clothing, and she is wearing that. Gold embossed lettering, Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. You get that gear, and what you do is you help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System as a part of our 2025 Soccer for Good campaign. The SDH Network logo is on one cuff. The Grady Baby logo is on the other cuff. and soccer is just better in Atlanta right here all the way through. And you get to show that off, and it's one of the more comfortable sweatshirts known to mankind, and I'm not kidding. And so it's very, very cool that they are helping us out as well. So we are off and running there. I think that's all the promos for all the stuff that you can help all of our Soccer for Good campaigns here in 2025. Okay. I don't know if you folks have heard the expression, go out and touch some grass. Just like, if you're all like wound up and everything, and somebody tells you to just go calm down, just, go take your shoes off and go touch some grass. There might be one city in particular that might need to do that after this past weekend. And we bring Tyler in to discuss. And yeah. It has to do with a particular moment in time from the weekend, sir. And it seems that a particular fan base in a particular city cannot let a moment go.
Is that being dramatic? Like, can't let it go.
No, can't.
I don't get it.
Can't.
Blows my mind, man. Like,
can't.
I get every fan base has a certain type of fan that is just like out the troll. I totally understand that.
Yeah, I get it.
But man, like you would think this was like front page news, unrelated to soccer. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
An accident happened in a contact sport. Oh my goodness. What are we going to do about it?
Well, I mean, look, if you're going to defend, and we've shown the Zapruder film, we've shown what it looks like. And one thing that I picked up after watching it and analyzing it 9 gazillion times was that Nick Hagglund actually, as they're both running, and obviously the center camera for Mercedes-Benz Stadium and for Apple TV, once again, it's the press box camera. It's the one right there in the middle, camera 2. And it shows Hagglund and Latte Lot going from left to right. As Hagglund is looking at Latte Lot obviously is running at 900 miles an hour. Nick Hagglund's trying to keep up. Hagglund obviously is turned toward Latte Lot and is keeping an eye. It's not like this was a blindside block or anything.
Right.
And so Hagglund is looking at Latte Lot. It took me a couple times to notice it, but Nick Hagglund's right arm is actually up against his body as, you're striding. That's what you do. Your right arm is right there. So Nick Hagglund's right arm is also there as, a buffer or whatever you want to refer to it as. It is there up against Nick Hagglund in between Latte Lot, who is over here, who is heading toward where the soccer ball, which is how he makes his living,
right,
is heading in transition. So Latte Lot, he's going this way. Nick Hagglund's going this way, but he's perpendicular to the whole thing, staring at Latte Lot. Nick Hagglund's arm is right here. So it ain't like it's a wide open thing where it's like, okay, I'm defending you and I'm, my body is wide open and everything. And it has, I'm not going to say spiraled out of control. It's just been out of control. That's all I can say about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's been out of control. And I'll address what Michael said in the chat. It's not that I don't understand that. I like if it were an Atlanta United player, I even put this is one of the first things I said after the whole thing. Yeah, I would be upset at the injury. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But what I'm talking about is you have, tons, and it's not just like one or two. You have tons of people coming out calling Latte Lot a thug and, saying all these really, really derogatory things about him, saying that he should be charged with assault and all this other stuff. I'm like, you need to pump the brakes on that. That is garbage. Like, don't try to even start some narrative that's not there. It was an accident. Yeah, I would be upset. I even at the time, I remember it distinctly when the play happened and because they collided, right? And then no call happened at the time. And you had Atlanta getting numbers forward on a counter. And I was like, oh, this might actually be a scoring opportunity. But in the back of my head, I was literally thinking to myself, if they score, it might get called back because they're going to check it. Now, could it have been a foul? 100%. We've seen that called a million times. A million times. I'm not going to argue whether or not it was a foul or a yellow. It wasn't a red. But it's the degree of animosity to which some Cincinnati fans have taken it in calling Latte Loth just like some of the worst names, and that's social media. It's an idiotic place, but it's just sad. Like it's contact sport, guys. Like accidents are going to happen, and it was an accident. Latte Loth didn't come in, trying to throw a haymaker. He didn't throw a punch. He's literally the fastest guy in the league, running full steam ahead, trying to get around a guy who's throwing a screen up against him. I mean, it happens. It's a mistake. It's an accident. You catch somebody the wrong way. There's so many things about it that it just I struggle to see where some folks are coming from, trying to be like, oh, well, he was intentionally trying to hurt him, and I don't know, man. It got wild, but man, it has, yeah, like you said, it's spiraled into something that it does not need to be at all. It was an accident. And there isn't one Atlanta person that I have seen, and I would hope that they would be dealt with in the appropriate channels, but I haven't seen one Atlanta fan be like, screw Nick, like he got what was coming. Like, no, everybody's like, God, this is unfortunate. It really sucks, but it was an accident. Sometimes there's nobody to blame. Sometimes it's just an accident. And I think that's a bigger symptom of a lot of things right now is just people want to blame somebody when sometimes there's not anybody to blame. It's just an accident. But anyway, that's a different soapbox. But
well, we're going to get to that soapbox in a bit. But obviously Nick Hagglund getting tremendous treatment at Emory Healthcare and got the aid that he needed at Mercedes-Benz to go to the hospital. And then you had Monday we had the Pat Noonan quote about what he said involving the how do I phrase it? Pat Noonan being Pat Noonan. I'll phrase it that way.
Yeah.
In the Pat Noonan ways. But then yesterday, our friend Laurel Failer, who is up at Queen City Press, got some sound or got some quotes from Matt Miazga of all people in the transition of this particular moment. So here's Matt Miazga, courtesy of Queen City Press. Obviously, I didn't know much what was going on during the whole situation because I didn't see it, but it's obviously disappointing. It's disappointing that he's injured and had to get surgery, but I know he's in good spirits right now, and I think the doctors really did a good job with him. So we were in touch earlier yesterday, meaning Monday, and we're looking forward to seeing him back. Obviously, like I said, it's disappointing, but I know that the club is doing their part in taking care of, what they need to take care of to make sure there's more answers to see what happened. I know that the club talking with the league and with the MLS about, what had happened and making sure that there's more clear answers as to why it wasn't caught with VAR and the punishments and so on and so forth. I mean, it's definitely disappointing because VAR is there to protect you. Like I said, we looked back, everyone saw what had happened, and obviously you can't argue that it was a nasty little hit. So I think disappointing that VAR didn't catch it. So let's see how the league and the referees solve the situation before it happens again, end quote. It was a nasty little hit and disappointing that VAR didn't catch it. I hate to break it to Matt Miazga, ESQ, but VAR looked at it and they decided that there wasn't anything there. And the disciplinary committee came out yesterday and said, no, we're good. Nothing here. And because we talked about that too, that the Disco would have had to have done a double overrule. You would have had to overrule VAR in that case in the building, and then you would have had to overrule the call on the field from Guido Gonzalez Jr. But you talk about not letting it go. You got players not letting it go. You got coaches who are mad at VAR. You've got coaches who are sitting there and saying what they're saying. You have fans calling Latte Lot everything short of a child of God and a sewing machine, quoting our friend Jared Smith. And that ain't even it. But I'll stop right there and let you hop back in to what Matt Miazga said about VAR.
I do have a question because I gotta make sure I got my facts right.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have VAR just outside of the refs changing room where Miazga likes to come in and start trying to, bulldoze his way after a game when things don't go his way?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's a pizza oven there as well. I don't have to keep an eye on that too.
Miazga needs to shut his freaking mouth. He runs his mouth too much. He's getting involved in stuff like I understand being upset with Pro. I do. I've been on this show. I've been on my show multiple times, and I have made my thoughts known about Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you want to call it a yellow, call it a yellow. I don't care. If you want to call it a foul, call it a foul. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But using verbiage like a nasty little hit and going back and doing the right thing is such an underhanded, cowardly way of trying to rile up the fan base even more.
Oh, yeah.
And get people, involved in this narrative. You're not doing anybody any favors. Your teammate is laying in a hospital back in Atlanta because of an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Because you play a contact sport, of which, by the way, Matt, you should know all about considering how you play sometimes. So don't come in here trying to, rile up everybody again. Just be supportive of your teammate and move on. It's just, I don't know, man. The way that they've blown this out of proportion is insane to me. Again, I understand being upset. I do. But again, an accident is an accident. It happened. You can't go back and look at the injury after the fact, no matter what it was, and go back and say, well, I'm going to use that to dictate and justify the actual punishment. Like, you can't go and say, all right, well, he had this severe injury, so that means it's got to be a red card, or it's got to be a fine, or a suspension, or jail time, which is what some people are saying. Like, get out of here with that. It's an accident. You know how many injuries we've seen in not just MLS, but just soccer all over the world, just freak accidents. You get people knocked out cold in corner kick, routines because two people are going up for a ball at the same time. They hit each other in the head, and sometimes you get hit in the head the right way and you're out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on your way to the hospital and you wake up at the hospital.
Yeah.
Does the other person need to go to jail or get a red card because two guys went up for a ball and just happened to collide heads? No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It is imbecilic. It's asinine. I'm so tired of just the way that it continues to go on and on. It's an accident, man. Get over it. It sucks. Prayers 100% for Nick Hagglund. Like it was worrisome when he was laying down. As long as he didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is saying screw Nick. Everybody has had nothing but support for Nick. It was an accident. And I guarantee you, I don't know this for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I guarantee you in some way, shape, or form, Latte probably reached out just to give his well wishes to Nick. Not to give any kind of indication of, hey, I did something wrong. Just, hey, man, like,
Thinking about you,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that it happened, but we both knew what we were getting into. You're a defender. I'm an attacker. Sometimes we're going to come together and it may not end up well. That's just part of the game.
Yeah. Block or charge,
It'd be what it be.
Yes. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, and this is, in our production chain, we have our conversations as well. Yes, I waited for you to make sure that you're sip from the cup of coffee. Have you heard of an organization called change.org?
I have heard.
Headline.
Oh my God.
Urge MLS to review foul on Nick Hagglund. A change.org petition is now up.
No way, dude. Are you serious?
153 verified signatures. The issue, I feel like John McLaughlin all of a sudden. The issue, as a dedicated FC Cincinnati supporter witnessing the serious foul on Nick Hagglund during the recent match, was not only disheartening, but raised significant concerns about player safety and fair play in the Major League Soccer. The incident, glaringly overlooked during the game, demands a thorough investigation to uphold the integrity of the sport and ensure such occurrences do not go unnoticed in the future. Nick Hagglund, a notable defender for FC Cincinnati. I feel like ChatGPT put this together.
For real. For real.
Nick Hagglund, the notable defender for FC Cincinnati, was subjected to an excessively harsh tackle, which, according to the replays available from various angles, was evidently dangerous and could have resulted in severe injury. Such conduct on the field not only jeopardizes the well-being of players, but also diminishes the quality and sportsmanship expected in professional soccer. The rules of soccer are explicit in prioritizing player safety and penalizing actions that threaten this principle. Allowing such a serious foul to pass without consequence undermines these rules and sets a dangerous precedent for behavior in future matches. It is imperative that MLS review such incidents meticulously to reinforce a standard of fairness that supports both teams and ensures a safe, competitive environment. The community of FC Cincinnati, along with soccer enthusiasts worldwide, expects MLS to act in accordance with its commitment to safety and fairness. The league has a responsibility to investigate any rule breaches and take appropriate actions against reckless conduct on the field. By reviewing this particular incident involving Nick Hagglund, MLS can demonstrate its dedication to maintaining the highest standards of play and protecting its players. I feel like I need like a trumpet crescendo here. Join us in calling for the MLS, first off, the MLS, to conduct an official review of the serious foul on Nick Hagglund. This action is crucial not only for justice in this instance, but to safeguard the integrity of soccer across the league. Stand with us in advocating for fair play and player safety by signing this petition.
154.
Did you sign it just now?
I didn't. I thought about the little bit of text that's right below that. I thought about clicking on that, but I'm not going to. That would be really trolly. I won't read it out loud, but I am shocked that we have fallen this far.
Part of me wonders if this is a work, but you can put nothing past anyone these days.
There's 154 people that have signed this thing, and I guess what we're going to have to do, maybe we should create a petition, not as Atlanta fans, just in general, to urge MLS to start wrapping everybody in bubble wrap.
Maybe, well, if you get 3M to sponsor it, then I'm sure you could.
There you go. I mean, look, this works perfectly.
You get Bryant Heating and Bryant HVAC or 3M or somebody like that to sit there and do that. But yeah, we saw that last night as a part of all of the hubbub and or uproar, and we were like, this is one of those Seth and Amy moments where you want to sit there and go, really?
Yeah.
But
really?
I mean, well, and then you also, in addition to the change.org petition, you also have other individuals who, and I will say this: the 280 character app. If you decide to go down a reading rabbit hole, sometimes you go down a very deep distance and you don't come back out. But there were opinions about Guido Gonzalez Jr.
Yep.
And every time that he referees an FC Cincinnati match, that he's against FC Cincinnati. It is almost like this is the first time that FC Cincinnati has been seriously aggrieved in a match to the point to where they're sitting there and they're stomping their feet like Veruca Salt and Willy Wonka, and so, I want it now, Daddy. One of those kind of things. Literally, you have them complaining about the referee. You have them putting a change.org petition up there. You have them discussing that Disco should send an envelope or two to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, where if you were to look at the conversations from Matt Miazga and Pat Noonan the day before with their quotes about the administration of the rules and the rule book, that maybe they should be getting envelopes as well. But this feels like that this might be the first time that FC Cincinnati / their fans would sit there and, the sky's falling, everything is wrong. This doesn't happen to us. And you have the gif of the kid in the puddle who is, he's thrashing about and he's kicking the water while he's in the puddle or something.
Yeah.
This feels like, every time there's a first time, and this might be that first time where FC Cincinnati fans are just kind of sitting there and just letting everything hang out and let it fly.
Yeah, I mean, it's all out there. And I saw what you were talking about with Guido, and I mean, my 2 cents on that. I mean, I don't think the game was ref the best. I'll be honest. Like, I think it was very inconsistent.
Yes.
Um, I do enjoy being on the better side of the law of averages, for a game to actually go Atlanta United's way, maybe a little bit because of the reffing. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
But I also don't think it was like anything game changing. I think you can look back at the ones that everybody's saying, was an offside call. I think there's plenty of evidence there to say why it wasn't, no obstruction, goalkeeper's out of position anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
I just think there was some inconsistency with some of the calls, but whatever.
Right.
Guido didn't lose the game for Cincinnati. Latte Loth didn't punch Nick Hagelin, and the very small sect of Cincinnati fans who have said that anybody defending Latte Loth is trash. Well,
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. Yeah. Point taken. Yes, Abby. Olaf Melberg out after 15 matches in St. Louis, and it's very odd. And so we're gonna keep an eye on that. We're gonna have a visit from the Ball Watchers guys tomorrow or Friday at 10:30. So they're gonna be Stan Musial for us. Or Paul Goldschmidt. They're gonna be batting fourth on Friday to discuss Olaf Melberg, David Critchley, and possibly Adrian Heath. So so that happened. And you had Atlanta put 4 on Cincinnati. I think that Cincinnati was exposed at the back because of the speed that Atlanta United had and getting past them. I think that the book is now out on Cincinnati. And so now in the 3 matches in a week scenario, Atlanta United now goes up against the Purple Team. Purple Team comes to town tonight. And we're going to hear from Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV coming up in hour number 2. But it's an opportunity for Atlanta to string a couple of wins together, string some positive results together. And Orlando, with this massive run of form that they have been on, it will be intriguing to see what they look like tonight, especially at the back, considering what the back has been for Orlando here in this run of matches where they have rocketed up the table in the Eastern Conference. What does it look like for Orlando? What does it look like for Atlanta? And how do the two come together at Mercedes-Benz?
I think the biggest thing with Orlando is they finally figured out in terms of goal scoring what works for them, because they went a significant stretch of games where it was just not happening. But their defense was good enough to at least keep them in it, right? And then in some of those games, they snagged the win, and 3 in a row they had 0-0 draws. Going back a month and a half or 2.
Yeah.
But Orlando's a good team, as much as it pains me to say that. Orlando is a good team, and the thing is, it's a derby match. It's a derby match where Atlanta is coming off probably some of the most significant momentum they could have had, because you beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati, we haven't mentioned it, but I mean, they're near the top of the East. They're a good team, even if they have a certain subsect of fans.
And a certain subsect of players.
Yeah, that too. But no, I mean, they're a good team. And so we always talk about Atlanta, you want to see a statement win. And maybe this wasn't the statement win in the sense that you dominated from opening to final whistle. Atlanta, you didn't do that, but you won. You did enough to come out of it. There's some things that you've got to really hammer down on. Coming out of the locker room, period, like the first 15 minutes. And it irritates me even more knowing, if you went back and watched the nonstop access video, one of the things that Ronnie Dylas said to them was, we need to come out strong. Don't come out weak, or whatever it was he said. But it's literally what we saw. Atlanta comes out of the locker room after the half, and
maybe they should just go out into the locker room. Maybe they should just stay out on the field.
Yeah, just stay there for an extra couple minutes.
Well, and you have all of your team meetings. You just have them right out there on the pitch, in front of all the 17s that haven't gone to go stand in line at concessions. You just have all of your you get Carl Robinson, Matt Lauer, and everybody. They just typically
there you go.
Bring the whiteboards out onto the field, and then you sit there and you kind of you have in college football, you have the interns with the big towels and everything.
Yeah.
Just kind of hide everything that is being discussed. You do that out on the field. That way you don't go into the locker room and come back out.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Do it. Like, let's make it happen. I'll sign a petition for that.
Change halftime habits and coach-player discussions in the Major League Soccer.
But yeah, I mean, I think that has to be a point of contention, and I know because it has been. It's something that's got to be changed. Like, I know for Ronnie Dowell to come out and say it, obviously it's a point that has not been lost on him and his coaching staff. So then for them to come out, against Cincy and essentially not touch the ball for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Or like, Abby saying they just haven't woke up from their nappy head. Like, can't have that. Orlando will make you pay. This is a derby match. Going into it, this is a derby match. Unlike Cincinnati, coming out of it might be a derby match from now on. But you know what you're getting with Orlando. You know it's going to be a little extra spicy. So you've got to stay switched on. You have to. And I think Dyla has found a little bit of a balance with this, back three. And I think you can really make something work out of it. And if you can just get the DPs to be a little more clinical, because Alexi, his 2 assists, great, phenomenal. I thought he was a little more involved in the attack, which I was really happy to see. Miggy and Latte have got to get on the same page. You've got to play more through balls and let them run into space. Let them run in behind Orlando's defense, tire them out. They are on one more day of rest than Atlanta, so there's something to be said there. But you have to use your speed. Like, as much as maybe the plan wasn't this year to be a counterattacking transition team, that is your strength right now as it stands. And if you can go in and Derek is back there kind of really becoming a leader on that back line. If he can keep, Luis Abram and or Noah Cobb and or Matt Edwards, whoever's back there, kind of in check, organized, then you can really unleash the speed that you have. Edwin Mosquera, he's going to be a lot fresher, so maybe he slots in somewhere. But you do have to be defensively better than you were against Cincinnati because, 27, 28 shots, and they were picking Atlanta apart in and around the box. Brad Guzan even said it. It's not sustainable. You can't let that happen. But you bend as much as you need to. You just can't break.
Yeah. In that starting lineup, Brad, obviously, then you had your 3 center backs with Matt, Derek, and Luis Abram. Just to let everybody know what Derek was like back there as your point guard, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, in that back 3. Played the full 90. His X total, his XAG, or his XGA, whatever you want to call it, 0.94, 10 clearances for Derek on the day. 1 block, 2 picks, a tackle, 4 for 10 on his duels. He was fouled once, 33 of 37 passing at 89%. 2 long balls that connected. He had the 1 big chance created, obviously, then the 1 shot on target as well. So Derek was hitting a bunch of different categories defensively. Then you look at Miranchuk, and I'm saving a name in particular for just a second. Miranchuk on the night, 90 minutes, a .37 with the 2 assists, 23 of 28 passing at 82%. 5 key passes now. That has upgraded from 4 for Miranchuk. 2 crosses, 1 long ball, 3 big chances created, 1 shot on target, 1 big chance missed. 1 half of his duels, he was fouled once, but also once again, Alexi comes back and helps you out defensively with 2 clears and a pick. The name that I'm holding out is Saba. Saba was basically your right wing back, if you want to say whatever, your far right midfielder in the 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, but then drifting back to help out defensively. Saba and Matt Edwards on that right-hand side. Kevin Dinke did not have a whole lot of numbers attacking down the left, and Evander was kept in check in that matchup. And I think that you're going to have to end up doing the same thing again tonight, whomever it is on that right-hand side of the defense going up against the attack for Orlando. You're going to have to get a repeat performance. Do you rotate, I guess, A, Saba and Matt Edwards on the right, topic number 1. Subheading B, what are you looking at from this starting 11? Are you looking like, hey, let's roll it over and see what happens because everybody's in a rhythm? Are you looking at changes? What are you staring at with the two subheadings that I'm giving you now?
Yeah, this is something I've thought about a lot, and I think I think you have to trust in what you've gotten out of Saba over the past year and a half, which is his ability to run like a madman. I think you start him, and then I think maybe eventually, maybe you because in theory, Matt Edwards should not be running as much as Saba, in theory, especially at home.
Mm-hmm.
Saba will eventually get tired on 3 days of rest or whatever. He gets subbed out at some point, and I think at that point
Mm-hmm.
you can move Matt up and bring in Noah.
Yeah.
Or you could try, and I don't like this idea as much, or you could just do a like for like switch and put Edwin Mosquera over there. I just don't know that defensively he's going to give you anything. Because I will say Saba, he's actually defensively been pretty decent.
Yeah.
I like what I've seen out of him. Or if Brooks is okay, then you can bring in Brooks. I just don't think you want to push Brooks after maybe pushing him a little too early last time, and then he re-injured himself. Brooks needs a really like a get right game. I really feel that way, both defensively and offensively. I think he's got to become a little more predictable. I see, people talking about Brooks in the chat. I mean, I think that's the thing. He can't. This team works the best when they flood the box, when they get those dangerous attackers up there, and then they flood the box. It's what you saw against Cincinnati. The verticality straight to the end line is great, maybe in a buildup, but the play can't stop there. A random cross gets sent in. You can't do that anymore. I mean, on occasion, it's totally fine. It's totally valid. Like it's a legitimate, soccer tactic, but it can't be the only thing that you do. So I would like to see him take on guys 1v1 a little bit more. Think about how Saba, a couple times takes on guys 1v1, and he's shifty. He's the dribbly boy. He does his thing. He double nutmegs somebody in the box. I just want to see a little bit more out of Brooks with that, because if he's not going to give you that in the attack, then he's got to be infinitely better on defense. And unfortunately, I feel like his 1v1 defensive kind of capabilities maybe haven't been as good as they were in the past. So if you do bring him on, I think this has got to be a game where he gets right. He feels it. But that was a very long-winded way of saying, I think if you can afford it, start Saba, and then eventually you're going to have to pull him out, bump up Matt, and then bring in Noah Cobb to kind of be your anchor. And hopefully by that point you're in the lead anyway, and you can not sit back.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. But you can absorb a little bit more pressure, a little safer.
Yeah, or you could turn it into a truer line of five if you have that lead and you don't have to send Matt forward as much. If he ends up, say, Saba runs his 10K in 60 minutes, and I'd love to know what his numbers are.
I know.
So Saba runs his 10K, and then you bring in Noah. Matt slides to the outside. Matt, we've seen with the relationship as the right back or the right-sided midfielder working his way up in the attack to help tag team with Miggy up the right. So Matt slides to the outside, being either that the outside right back or the attacking midfielder up the right-hand side. Noah comes in as that right-sided center back. You've either got that line of five with Matt now as the guy who races forward, or legit, it's just line of five and there's no movement. And, good luck trying to get past it. So I see where you're coming from in that approach. There's been some discussion in the chat of, running like hell and then bringing in, Luke Brennan strictly as in an offensive set and have him tired legs for 20 or 30. Same with Edwin Mosquera, doing the same thing with him on the left-hand side for 20 or 30. We're still a couple of weeks away from Tristan Muyumba. You've seen Mateus Klick come in and give you cups of coffee. And he was integral for goal number 4. Jamal comes in, gives you a cup of coffee up top, subbing for Latte Lot. I think that in this particular matchup tonight, so you're saying pretty much start with the girl that brung you to the dance and then go from there just because of the result and needing a result is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so, because you've got the momentum, and I've kind of been up and down this a lot over the past couple of days, but like momentum's a funny thing,
Mhm.
and we joke around about not coming out of the locker room. That's momentum. You go into the locker room against Cincinnati up 2-0. You should come out on fire,
Yeah.
but you don't. You then Bartek Slish gets the third goal to go up 2 again. Congratulations, Slish, by the way, and his
Yes.
family.
Yes.
Um, and then you immediately give up a goal again. You've got to learn to control the momentum. You have to learn to control the momentum. I don't know how, and this is not a Ronnie Dyla thing. This goes back like 2 or 3 years. Got to be better, but that's in a bubble. That's in one game.
Yeah.
You look at momentum like from game to game.
Right.
You've broken your one of your worst streaks in club history. That should energize you. It should make you feel like, all right, dude, we're going up against Orlando.
Yeah. You've proven to yourself that you can do what everyone, including yourselves, had that expectation coming into this season. You've proven to yourself that you can do what you've set out to do.
Yeah. And then you look at the Cincinnati game, you had 4 goals, none of which were scored by the guys making, collectively $20 million, probably close to it. I don't know, 15, whatever. A lot of money. None of your DPs. Now, Alexi got a couple of assists again, which is great. I'm not dogging them. I'm just saying, like, you expect those numbers out of your DPs.
Right.
They should be incredibly hungry now after a 4-goal game in which none of them got hit the back of the net. Now bring them in, let them go up against a rival. You go and you score the game winner against Orlando after the season that Atlanta's had so far. You're instantly in the very, very good graces of Atlanta United fans.
Mm-hmm.
So go out and go after this game. Take the momentum, hold on to it. Don't let Orlando have any of it. And then inevitably, players are going to get tired on such short rest. Then you start bringing in the guys like Jamal Tiare, who I think has been just this entire season. His first touch has been better. He still throws himself around like he rents his body, but he's not getting injured. Thankfully, knock on wood. I just feel like he's played a lot sharper and cleaner this year. Bring him on, bring on Edwin, let him do his thing. I would love to see Luke Brennan. And yeah, all these guys, these subs that you made in the second half of the Cincinnati game, very similar, and just go after it. Continue to push. Now, that doesn't mean like open yourself up at the back, but play smart, be smart about it, and go and try to put a stamp on the last home game you're going to have for a couple months.
Yeah, they're starting 11, and once again, we go over this with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV coming up in hour number 2. Backline, Bracalo, Janssen, Schlegel, and Alex Freeman. Midfield 4, Pasalic, Edward Atuesta, who is back from injury. He was not available for about a month earlier this season. Arujo, Angulo, and then McGuire and Muriel up top. That was last time out going up against Portland in the 1-0 win. And so with Orlando, there are times where you don't know which Orlando you're going to get. You get the one that's been brought to you by the number 3, or are you going to get the one that has the goalless draw with Chicago and has issues scoring goals? And so you're trying to figure out. It was a great run that they've had, but if you're an Orlando fan, you're looking for the team that's been scoring 3. If you're an Atlanta fan, you're looking at that tape at Portland and sitting there going, okay, what did Portland do here? And combine that with probable roster, with the starting 11 rotation, and try to combine and figure out how you can attack. My guess is with the development of Alex Freeman, you're probably going to rely on the attack up the right-hand side, going up against the left-handed side of that defense, which might be the part that gets swapped out by Oscar Pareja tonight. So for me, it's probably the back line of Atlanta up against the attack for Orlando, and then the right-hand side of the attack for Atlanta going up against probable change for Orlando on that left-hand side, and then your left back, which may or may not be Bracalo and Janssen and Schlegel, groups a group that I think you can run at once again and get some things accomplished tonight.
Yeah, I think the one other player that kind of fits in, those two battles that you're going to see would be Pedro Amador. And I mean, I only say that because he just genuinely didn't have a great game against Cincinnati. I mean, he got subbed out fairly early, and I haven't heard, and I didn't think to ask at the end of the game if it was like injury related, or I just feel like normally he's pretty steadfast 1v1, and this was not one of his best games.
Yeah.
But you know what you get typically out of Pedro, and if he can have a much better game, which I trust he will, again, barring like some kind of weird injury situation, I think he's going to be able to help lock down that one side. But to your point, yeah, I mean, you're always going to kind of pick on the weak side. That's just, we've talked about it. I forget what game it was before, but you're going to naturally pick on the side that's younger, less experienced, weaker, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
If Atlanta's midfield can play the way that they did against Cincy, for the most part, I think they're going to be able to lock down Orlando a lot better than they did Cincy.
Yeah.
Which means, yeah, things are going to get pushed out wide. So you just can't allow Orlando, and I don't think they've got the same quality to do it as Cincy does.
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow them to be so free in and around your box in your defensive third. So yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily that I'm looking at like one specific matchup.
Yeah.
But I do think Orlando is going to try to probably pick on one side, maybe through the middle occasionally. I think they're going to try to, tread water a little bit and see what happens. But I think this game's going to end up getting pushed out wide. And I honestly feel like that actually might favor Atlanta more with the way that they're playing with this kind of 3-5-2 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned down the middle. I think that, with the 6 being, say the 6 is Bart, then that means that Jay can help you out defensively, and then Jay helps you out in the attack over on the left-hand side, I would imagine. Then you end up with the 3 center backs as we anticipate, and then the assistance from Pedro, and then Bart slides over, and then Jay helps out defensively. I'm thinking that because it's a midweek match, under normal circumstances, I would not anticipate a whole lot of goals being scored. But because of how I think things can structure themselves in this match, I think that it could be a match doubly where you may not see a whole lot of goals scored, and people who will be either watching or sitting in the stands at Mercedes-Benz might be pulling their hair out, because you'll see a lot of stuff going on box to box. But when you get inside the 18, I think that's where things may end up clamping down on both sides.
Yeah, and it depends on if Orlando comes in here overconfident or not, which that's always a gamble, because Orlando's on a run.
Mm-hmm.
They've won 3 of the last 5. One was a draw, one was a loss, but they're scoring goals. Like, that's the thing now. They're really scoring goals. I mean, you had a 1-0 against Portland, you lost 3-2 against Nashville, you beat Miami 3-0, you beat Charlotte 3-1, and you drew New England 3-3. So the goals are there.
Yeah.
If you come in looking at Atlanta, making sure you don't have recency bias with the Cincinnati game, you're looking at Atlanta and saying, all right, well, they haven't had a good season so far.
Yeah.
They've been vulnerable. They haven't scored goals. Orlando, being Orlando, now it's not like you have the same players that you did back in the day, but this is a rivalry. This is a derby. Do they come in and say, hey, we're going to beat these guys at their house and go ahead and, sweep the series, as it were? If they do that, I think Atlanta can have a little bit of confidence and punch them in the nose, similar to how they did Cincy early on. But Atlanta's got to be careful, because, like I said in the beginning of this whole conversation, Orlando is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So
as you draw things back to the circle. All right. So since you and the other SNSers will be kind of busy tonight, you'll be inside a stadium and not in your own respective studios. What are the plans leading up to the matchup tonight with the purple team?
So we're gonna do our pre-match show that we normally do, just kind of covering the lineups and all.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody that has asked, because I know I put out the video of baby girl being at the game. It was her first game of the season, and it may or may not have broken the curse. I don't know, but the rest of my family got tickets to come back. And at first, my wife was like, "Oh, it's kind of late." For her to, 7:00 was one thing, 7:30 is another 30 minutes, whatever. It's also just simply the fact that, like, taking 2 little ones.
Oh yeah.
to the stadium is much more difficult than taking 2 older ones.
Yeah.
But Twitter prevailed and has convinced the whole family to be there. So baby girl will be there. And if she is in fact the good luck charm, because she was the other day,
You're going to New Jersey.
yeah, we're there. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, so if you see the Casa de Pilgrim all in one particular section where Tyler is working and the boss is trying to maintain law and order with a lot of different folks, that is what is going on. But
Yep.
no, and like I told you, I said if you budget out the number of minutes that are extra that have to be used to prepare for a 30-minute later start, if you go 6 weeks before the next home match and you're only having to make up 30 minutes, it's literally that's a minute's worth of a nap a day.
Yeah, it balances out. I mean, also give her a little bit later of a nap today in the middle of the day, and she'll be ready to party. She was having a great time on Sunday. She really was. Like, that wasn't the only video. My wife kept sending me videos, and she was when the opening whistle was about to blow and We Ready's playing, she's over there. She was literally singing We Ready. And when the goals happened, like, she was, yelling goal. Like, she was having a great time. This is the first game that she's been to this season, but this is the first one ever where she's at that point now where she understands it enough to like be at least excited and kind of get it a little bit, So that was really cool.
Okay. Well, we will see all of the Casa de Pilgrim under one roof tonight. As always, my friend, great to see you and great to process a win and change.org petitions and quotes that need some context and folks that need to touch some grass. So as always, my friend, we will see you in the building tonight, and we will catch up with you soon, my friend. Thanks for dropping by. There goes Tyler, and Tyler's going to go catch up on his nap and get everything squared away for all of those. I'm going to try and do a little TV magic here, and I'm going to try and figure out how we can add the video of Mike Gramajo from from WESH-TV down in Orlando. I thought I loaded it, and I can't quite see if I've loaded it to start hour number 2. So if there ends up being a quick start and stop and me freaking out and coming back and starting the whole process over, then we'll start the whole process over. But we caught up with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV. He is our Oppo research for the Purple team. And I wanted to get his thoughts on a couple of different things. I wanted to get his thoughts on Orlando this year, on Orlando this past weekend, and what he maintains and what he sees from attending practice earlier this week and laying everything out for a rivalry game involving Atlanta and Orlando tonight here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So let me try the TV magic, and if this ends up being a little abrupt, it means I hit the right buttons. I just didn't do it in the right sequence to give myself a little bit of a breather here. So let's see if we can add Mike Gramajo's conversation to our conversation. We'll come back on the other side. We'll go through what you guys have been saying all morning long, because it looks like it has been a very, very active Twitch pitch. We always like that when you guys have conversations with each other and have conversations here on the show. And then we'll go over the other matchups in Major League Soccer, plus the broadcast teams, and we'll see if Pro has posted who is going to be in the middle and where Guido Gonzalez is going to be, and if he's going to be chased after with pitchforks and tiki torches by fans from Cincinnati. So we'll see. So I'm gonna talk and try to do two things at once. And if it works, it works. And we'll see what happens with our conversation with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV Channel 2 down in Orlando. So video storage, there it is. And so let's go ahead and hit a play button, and we'll see if it works. So as promised, we catch up with our buddy down at WESH-TV, WESH-2 down in Orlando, Mike Gramajo. Mike, it is time to let everybody know what is going on with the Purple team here in the midweek. What's the latest?
Well, I mean, we're going into a midweek game. It seems like it's been a very common occurrence now this month. Orlando will be playing their 8th game of the month later this evening. And then you think about it, they're going to have to be really smart and play wisely, because they have a game the following Saturday, which will be their 9th game in 4 weeks to cap the month of May. considering all that, I mean, the team has been really just stringing up a good amount of results. They're on a 12-match unbeaten streak in league. Obviously, they were ousted out of the Open Cup the week before, but it's really just been a long month, but a really month where they're starting to meet expectations, and it's really going to be a month where a game against Atlanta where it's going to be how Oscar Pareja is going to rotate the squad, because it's going to be an important thing to really go into it against an Atlanta team that finally snapped a winless streak, and it looks like they finally found their scoring boots at the same time.
Yeah, I want to go backward a little bit before we go forward, and I want to talk about what happened on the weekend. A lot of times you just need the one goal. That's what you got. You ended up getting the 1-0 win. Starting 11, obviously, Gillespie in net. Backline, Bracalo, Janssen, Schlegel, and Freeman. Pasalic, Atuesta, Arujo, and Angulo. And then up top, it was Maguire and Muriel. When you look back at what happened on the weekend, what sticks in your mind?
I mean, this is a team that's been really just been playing so cohesively. I think David Bracalo has been a little bit of the surprise left back. No one expected him to, play that position at all at any point during the season. This is a guy that came last year before, ahead of the 2024 season, and was competing against Rodrigo Schlegel and Robin Janssen for that starting center back role. And here we are a year later, he's playing as a left back now. But it not only just it falls down with him, but the way that they've been playing so cohesively, they've been really, really essential into, there was a period during the 12-match unbeaten streak where Orlando was just stringing up just, 3 straight shutouts. And that's, I think you can kind of point the back line as a reason to, that being a success. Obviously, there's nothing really you can say about Alex Freeman. He's been a huge revelation for the squad this year. Just is able to contribute into attack. He's just really, really good defensively, to the point where he can stop anything from being thrown into the area. And then Rodrigo Schlegel and Robin Janssen, these guys have been with the squad now for the last 4 years now. So they've been really clinical and crucial into how they really maintain that defensive prowess in the back line. And, I'm pretty sure Pedro Gillespie is thankful to have a back line that's been really, really solidified and really strong at the same time.
Yeah, you mentioned Alex Freeman, so I'll go ahead and skip to that portion of my notes. It was the full 90 minutes where Alex was there at right back. The numbers: 2 clearances, 1 block, a pick, 2 total tackles, 6 of 11 on his duels on the day, fouled once, 91% passing at 31 of 34, connected on the 1 long ball, and he was 1 for 2 on the dribble as well. What has it been like for you to see his game develop to where he's not just the son of a Green Bay Packers legendary wide receiver? He is now getting noticed nationally by Mauricio Pochettino in the USMNT.
I mean, he's a humble guy. I mean, you would think, 20 years old, already a starting MLS player, the son of a Green Bay Packers legend. It's normal for a kid that age to, have that head inflated, but it's not. It's the quite contrary with Alex Freeman. And I think you can kind of credit his father, because we spoke to him last week, and obviously we spoke to him after he learned that he was part of that pre-Gold Cup roster for that June camp. And, he's like, listen, I'm just been really just dedicated and focused on working. And that's just been allowing me to kind of bear fruits with each success that I have. He's been working nonstop since he's been in the academy, was awarded a second team spot with Orlando City B, continued working, eventually found his way into the first team. We're seeing him now, just really just tear it up in game in, game out. And now that's led to a national team call-up for this June camp, where it coincidentally it starts a year precisely before the World Cup. Now, is he going to be part of that World Cup roster? That's a thing that's a little bit of a long shot. But, I mean, the kid has shown that he's been able to just be really focused on his job. He knows that if he continues working, good news are going to come. And that's really been the case with him. He's a kid that has been like a sponge, as Oscar Pareja has said previously. He likes to soak up knowledge and learn and just find ways to perfect his craft. And I think we're witnessing, all of that on the field so far this season.
the offense traditionally over the last couple of weeks has been brought to us by the number 3. I kind of feel like Sesame Street a little bit, where 3 in the back of the net, 3 in the back of the net. It was a consistent thing where the offense for Oscar Pareja was there. Obviously, the focus has been on the 3 DPs. But last time out, the highest rated player was Atuesta. And now he seems to be integrating himself into the day-to-day conversations about what it takes for this offense to click. What has it been like to see output from outside the DPs to help the offense get to where it is here in the Eastern Conference?
That's a good question, because obviously Atuesta was, I don't want to say he was very badly missed. His presence was missed. Obviously, he led to that assist last week against Portland, where he found Duncan McGuire in that open pocket. But those are characteristics and traits that, you have to be a well-developed midfielder to really see those types of looks. I mean, that was a tight, open space that, not any type of midfielder in that Orlando team could find. And that's what Edward Atuesta brings. Duncan McGuire was happy. He credited him, saying that, he is a blessing to this team. And I think the way this team kind of works around Atuesta has been very crucial, because we spoke to him earlier before he was injured and missed 4 consecutive games. And actually, coincidentally enough, that I'm thinking about it, the last game he played before his injury was against Atlanta United back in April. So he missed 4 consecutive games after that Atlanta game. The team struggled a little bit in the midfield. Obviously, they were still able to get some results, and that just you can kind of credit the team's depth for that. But obviously, going back to the topic with Atuesta, he mentioned before he was injured that this team kind of fits the similarities to what he had back in LAFC. This is a team that likes to be on the ball, likes to be on the attack, and a team that is very possessive-minded and just that wants to dominate. And I think it's just a perfect fit that Orlando City and Atuesta are able to kind of mesh and find that cohesive touch and balance. And it's allowed Orlando to find that balance too, because this is a team that at the early stages of the season was conceding really sloppy goals and scoring. And then they were not scoring, but they were not conceding. Now that I think they finally found that balance where to, obviously you look at this just heavy month it's been a little bit of a challenge, but they're making it. So I think Atuesta is that guy. And he comes at an interesting time too, because I don't think really nobody expected him to be a starting midfielder, because the duo last year was Wilder Cartagena and Cesar Araujo, and obviously Wilder's out for the rest of the season. So it's really one of those blessings that the team has been continue saying on Atuesta. He's been a presence and a guy that's really been contributing really positively to not even just the attack, but also the defense as well.
Mike Gramajo, WESH-TV down in Orlando, as part of our opposition research as we get ready for Atlanta United and the Purple team here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The numbers, when you look at the stat breakdown from the 1-0 win against Portland, only 40% possession, but what I've tried to remind folks, it's almost like college football these days with all the different offenses. It's not necessarily what your offense looks like. It's what you do when you have the ball. Because you could run the ball all day long, and if you're not scoring, great, you won TOP. Congratulations on the full screen. But if you've got a spread offense and you're scoring in just a couple of plays and you're lighting up the scoreboard, time of possession doesn't matter in college football. 40% possession for Orlando going up against Portland, but your XG was 1.54. You had the 2 big chances, double the number of shots, and also you got called for 14 of the 22 fouls if you're a fan of Orlando City in that matchup. So then what were the keys to success outside of Atuesta and McGuire hooking up for the 1 goal that was the difference?
I think it was the depth. It has to be the depth, because Oscar actually touched on that after the Portland game. I'm probably going to reiterate it again. This team on Saturday played their 7th game in 3-4 weeks, and Oscar basically said it. He didn't really say the team was tired, but he said that the team is pushing its workload. The team played the previous Wednesday against Nashville, and Oscar said that he felt that the team spent way too much energy in that Nashville game, and he was fearful that with having played that much, put that much energy into that Nashville game, that they were going to need that energy against Portland. You look at the Portland game, Orlando was very dominating, and I believe they won the possession battle in the first half. Second half, however, was completely the whole different thing. It was Portland pushing and pressing, trying to look for an equalizer. Oscar obviously had to rotate players because, you know, they just played on Wednesday. They're playing right now. They play again on Wednesday against Atlanta, and they have to play again on Saturday against Chicago. So it was really a matter of really just rotating the squads again. And he did some of that rotation in the second half. Obviously, with that said, the team really had to put a defensive – they had to be defensively disciplined to really just hold on to that result and really just crank out a result. Was it a pretty 1-0 win? Not really, but you know, I think when you look at how things have been this month, it was, you have to play wisely. And going into the Atlanta game, Oscar said on Tuesday morning that it's like a game of chess. He has to be smart and wise on how he's going to play his pieces. Yes, he knows that Atlanta has finally snapped a winless streak. He knows that they're scoring, but how do you approach an Atlanta team knowing when your own players are, one, you know, pushing the limit of exhaustion? I don't want to say, you know, they're fully exhausted, but they've been working a lot. How do you kind of balance, you know, making sure that you can kind of go into Atlanta, get a result, but at the same time, you know, exit the month of May unscathed with injuries, because obviously they will go into a bit of a week break after that. So, but you know, the depth has been key as well. I mean, Oscar has been able to really kind of contribute the academy players as well into the fold as well. So there's no denying it. It's the depth that the team has been able to kind of show, and it's you know, more than likely I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing that against Atlanta as well at some point.
I was going to ask about rotation, but just so everybody knows, substitutions in the second half, Oscar uses all 5. He brings in Ojeda, gave you 25 or so. Yep. Same for Romero Enrique. Kyle Smith comes in, gives you 12 plus. Jean Gerbet gives you 12 plus. And then Dagger Dan came in to give you a cup of coffee there at the end. How much rotation are you anticipating? Is it going to be all hands on deck for the rivalry game and then rotate for Chicago, or is it going to be more rotated for the rivalry game and then first choice for Chicago at home before the international window? What does your gut tell you?
I mean, Oscar really didn't. He said that his defenders have been pushing the workload, his defenders and other players. But considering that he said defenders first, my gut is that I wouldn't be surprised if he rotates that back line, because I think they've had the same back line for a number of consecutive games this month. If they go into the Atlanta game, I would not be surprised if there is some rotation there. I don't know, maybe throw in a Kyle Smith and you bench David Bracalo and have him start into the game at some point against Atlanta, or you sit Rodrigo, and there's going to be something there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jean Gerbet also gets a playing time as well. I mean, there is no doubt at all that there's going to be some type of rotation, you know, against Atlanta, because you have Chicago, and Chicago, you know, obviously they're pretty high up the Eastern Conference standings. But I mean, you probably know more than the same as me, John. The Eastern Conference it's been a tough battle in the Eastern Conference. You look at how things are being basically paired in the Eastern Conference compared to the Western Conference. I mean, the East is a dogfight right now. I think what separates first and fifth place is 3 points, 4 points at most. So it's really just a matter of how do you how wise can you be, how smart can you be when you're, you know, rotating your players against Atlanta on Wednesday, and how you can get a result and have them prepared for Saturday against Chicago, against, you know, a Chicago side that is also looking to, you know, go up the Eastern Conference standings. So will we see a dogfight on Wednesday, considering it's a rivalry? I hope so. I think when you look at rivalries, Orlando and Atlanta, when it first started out, those were some big dogfights there, because Atlanta was just smacking Orlando every chance they got when Joseph Martinez was there. I think the rivalry with Orlando and Atlanta is kind of simmered down a little bit, and it's been more focused with Orlando and Miami now. But I mean, Orlando and Atlanta, you can never go wrong. Those when they fight, it makes good football. And I guess good TV at the same time.
No doubt. You've got the top 5 separated by 3 points right now in the Eastern Conference. So
Yeah.
you mentioned the possible swap outs at the back. What would those individuals that you think might be going in, how different is it, or is it interchangeable parts where you have a Smith come in instead of a Bracalo? How different would that back line behave with the rotation that you would anticipate in one alternate universe?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're a team that concedes a lot of possession. Not to say that, let's say a Carl Smith gets in the starting 11, because he has shown that he can be an attacking player as well. But I would not be surprised if we see a team that is really just conceding possession. Man, Orlando fans are really going to kill me if they see it here. But I'm just being realistic. This team is and Oscar touched it on Tuesday morning as well. The team is really pushing its workload. Am I saying that they're super exhausted? Not at all. I mean, when I saw them Tuesday morning, the team looked really upbeat. But you have to be sometimes in touch with reality. I spoke with a former Orlando City soccer player this past Saturday at Aaron Co. He's one of the commentators, Scott Sutter. And I was like, hey, Scott, I just want to get your perspective because it's easy to assume. Obviously, I've never been a professional soccer player. He has been. And I asked him, like, hey, you used to be a professional soccer player. This team is now playing their 7th game in 3 weeks. How tired are they? And Scott Sutter said, no, if they're not recovering right, they're tired. Like, that's a lot of games that they're playing. So, going into Atlanta, I mean, I don't know. This team, the only thing that's really, really pushing this team forward, and Oscar said this after last Saturday's game, is yes, the team is pushing its workload, but there's an internal commitment within the group that they want to finish the month of May atop the Eastern Conference standings. If not first place, second place. Is it feasible? I think it is. They're in 4th place. They sit. They're at 27 points. Philadelphia is at 30 points right now in the Eastern Conference. So it is feasible. It's going to get exhausting to get to that point, but I think that's what really is pushing the envelope for this Orlando squad. So I don't think they're going to go out there and try to get a loss. I think they're really high riding this unbeaten streak. I think they want to continue building on it. I think it is going to be a challenge to get that result on Wednesday, considering this is an Atlanta squad that finally found its scoring boots, and I'm pretty sure it's going to want to string up its 2nd consecutive win. So I think that we have all ingredients there to have a good football match at the end of the day.
Well, as always, my friend, we're looking forward to it, and it's great to catch up with you and see what's going on down there in Central Florida with the Purple team as they're getting ready for the matchup against Atlanta United. Mike Gramajo, WESH-TV. May everything stick to the cards when you go out and shoot at practice. May everything be ingested properly, and may the executive producers on the news side always give you more than the 2.5 minutes or the 2 minutes that they give you at 6 o'clock. As always, my friend, great to see you. Looking forward to a fantastic match with Atlanta United and Orlando City. You got the keys to the kingdom and the garage door opener. You can crash it anytime.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
And that is Mike Gramajo from our friends at WESH-TV in Orlando. And so that's your rundown of opposition research. And that's what Mike is looking at. And Mike is a must follow if you want to keep an eye out on everything going on with the Purple team. You can follow Mike at by Mike Gramajo on Gramajo on the 280 character app, and follow obviously what goes on there at WESH-TV with everything that's going on, getting ready for Atlanta United and Orlando City. Okay. Let me say hi to everybody, and we will get into what is on your minds and everything that was laid out in the overnight. Morning 4 card. Morning, Michael. And we did take care of unchallenged rifle, blah, 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 and reported them to Twitch. Morning, David. Morning, Dell. Let's see. So morning, Michael. 4 card. Strike fast, strike hard, no mercy, sir. Exactly. So, Michael, the Nick Hagland update is from all indications, he's going to be I think it's another couple days at Emory Healthcare, And he came out on his Instagram account and said some incredibly complimentary things toward Atlanta United, the physio staff, and the hospital. And so I think he's gonna be here in town until things have stabilized, and then he heads back home and heads back to Cincinnati and starts his recovery. And you obviously you hope for nothing but the best. So that's the latest that we have on Nick Hagglund. I think you can follow him on his Instagram account, and you can pretty much get the updates as you go when it comes to him and his recovery. So morning Wiley, morning Dell. And let's see. Yeah, you do expect it from Miazga. And so KFC, that Miazga is the exact reason it's bigger than it is, needs to stop chasing ideas and people down tunnels and holes in his mind. Morning, Abby. And Abby, God bless her. Abby was like, I just turned the show on. 20 minutes later, we're 20 minutes in, and it's like 20 minutes of her day that just disappeared. But we tried it. We tried to be that for all of you every single day, and be here as best as we can when it comes to all the news and notes and stories and everything that are there. All right, so let's see. Morning, Derek. And Dell was looking at the petition that we were discussing in hour number 1 and wondering if the individual who created it, is that even a real name? And Dell is looking for like those big bubbles, that you put the inflatables that you put yourself in and you roll around. And maybe if you do stuff like that, that'd be kind of fun. I sure as hell would never do it, but I think it would be fun to see if there were individuals, like if you did that for the media game and you did that for like maybe 7v7, if you didn't have like 30, 39 or 40 people show up. But I think that if you did something like that for the media match and you had folks, making sure that you didn't like roll down a hillside or something like that, I think that might be a fun variant for the media match. Let's see. So, but yeah, Abby, we are going to, it is officially official yet that we will have the Ball Watchers folks from St. Louis on 10:30 Friday morning. And we are going to have, we did lay out the rest of the week when it comes to our guests. So tomorrow it's going to be Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red. We're going to break everything down. We're going to put Orlando in the rearview mirror pretty quick. We'll talk about what happened tonight, tomorrow, weave it in and out of the guests that we have, because tomorrow, once again, Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red's going to bat leadoff. Rob Roddy, the head coach at Georgia Impact in the WPSL, he's going to join us at 9:30. Then it's the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. And with Nico, we'll probably get more into what happened tonight with Nico in the 10:30 segment tomorrow morning and lay everything out as to what happened tonight then. And then on Friday, it does look like we're going to get things kind of started, getting you started for the weekend, probably preview everything going on in Major League Soccer with juice boxes, news, notes, and stuff. And hopefully we get the visit from our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30 and efforting our MLS guest at 10. And then once again, 10:30 Eastern time, it'll be our friends from the Ball Watchers in all caps to discuss the dismissal of Olaf Melberg after 15 matches. And now is Lutz Pfannenstiel on the clock, the general manager. You did really well under Bradley Carnell in year number 1 because, once again, no one's got a book on you. And then the way that you were stylistically, I think you work in a one-off, you don't work in a series, and you get found out. Then in year 2, you have problems. You don't make the playoffs. Then out of the blocks in year 3, Olaf Melberg lasts the sum total of 15 matches before he is canned. What does all caps do from here? So that's going to be part of the larger question that we will pose at 10:30 on Friday morning heading into the weekend, as all caps have their first match with David Critchley, called up from St. Louis City SC2 in MLS Next Pro to guide them into the interim without a manager. So, yeah, we'll go over St. Louis City, and that'll be at 10:30 on Friday morning. So let's see. Morning 4-card, morning Abby. Yep. Definitely true with Atlanta United fans across the board needing 3 points tonight against the purple team. That is absolutely the case. And so that's what we're going to be looking at as we go. So get into the juice boxes and that and coming up in just a little bit. David and Michael having the discussions. And yeah, Michael, this did seem harsh. Hosts had a keeper ranking. Brad was something like 30th. That is harsh. That is absolutely harsh. I don't know what their parameters are when it comes to navigating these kinds of things. But let's go to Major League Soccer their own selves and get into keepers here. So all clubs, all. All right. So all clubs, all, and apply filters. So we've applied filters, and you have still given me like shooters and things. So how about general goalkeeping stats? Okay. So, all right. So here's what we have. Brad is second in the league in saves behind Christian Kalina. Obviously, he is, because of Atlanta United giving up a lot of goals, obviously in that category, he is fairly high. Once again, played and started 15 for 15, which means that he is tied for with a bunch of different folks for most minutes so far this season. Has the one clean sheet, and he has in goals against, he is second in the league in goals allowed. John Pulskamp for Sporting Kansas City is first in goals allowed. But then when you look at saves, Brad is second in saves. You look at passing percentage, and there are a lot of keepers that only have played X number of matches. But so you look at the passing percentage, Brad's at 73%. Long ball percentage is at 37.6. And so let's see if we end up with numbers involving long ball percentage, or if they just decide not to roll over into that category. So then clearances off the line, you end up with Brad down. No, it's goalkeeping. It's not defensive statistics, clearances and things like that. So long ball percentage and passing numbers and things like that. So in the stilted somewhat numbers that are presented by Major League Soccer. So just to give you an idea, once again, Brad is second in saves. Obviously, he is second in goals allowed. But once again, passing percentage fairly high in the 70s. So that puts him in the upper half of your keepers when it comes to all of these particular statistics. So league leaders when it comes to player stats defensively, look at defensive numbers, you end up with most offsides. So Dane St. Clair right now, he is top in keepers with long passes at 149 so far this season. And that would put the rest of the top five as, and believe it or not, Dane St. Clair has 2 more passes than Adelson Miranda from Charlotte. Brad Stuver is third. Carlos Cornell is fourth. Zach Steffen is your top 5 when it comes to long passes. And then you end up with that for all of your player statistics, and how you only have one keeper stat out of one interceptions. Roman Celentano as a part of it. So it's you have what, 2-ish statistics for keepers listed for Major League Soccer. So what if we go to Opta? So we go to Opta, MLS goalkeeper stats. Hang on. But 30 does seem harsh, Michael, okay, so advanced. So MLS goalkeeper stats from our friends at FB Ref. So let's take a peek. And it's squad stats and opponent stats. So goals against, we mentioned. Goals against per 90. Atlanta would be 5th in goals allowed, goals against per 90. Shots on target, and as Tyler said, Brad mentioned post-match that it is not sustainable. So shots on target against Atlanta United is second. Brad is second in saves. Save percentage for Brad puts him for top 10. He's 9th in saves. Then it is, then you get into penalty kick attempts and saves and things like that. So that's where you are with Atlanta United with their keeping stats so far this season. Brad, once again, the only one who has gotten minutes inside Major League Soccer. Goals against of a 1.73, the opponent total at a 1.2. 84 shots on target. Atlanta United with 59. The Brad with 58 saves on the season and a save percentage of 75%. And so that's where Brad is when it comes to that. So expected. So if you're looking at post-shot expected goals at 24.9, slightly higher than the opponent total of 24. The post-shot XG per shot on target is 0.25, slightly below 0.33. Then you're looking at passes completed at 41%, which is above the league average at 29.5. It is passes attempted, launch percentage at just under 32%, but well above the MLS average of 28.3. Goal kicks at 40.5, just under the percentage of 41.6. Crosses, 2.6%, basically 5 compared to 10. And then your sweeper numbers have average distance at 17.3, which is far and away more than 11. So for Brad to be listed where he is, I would say that, yes, that is harsh. That's as 30th. So looking at numbers, and once again, it depends on what your metric is and depends on what your analysis is when it comes to those kinds of things. So morning, Tom. Welcome back. I know it's been a while since Tom has been here, but I'm sure that Tom, a lot of folks would definitely agree. Goals conceded first 15 of the second half are staggering and embarrassing. So you're probably not the only one that would have that point of view, believe me. Michael, once again, mentioning bringing in Mosqueda for Saba with 25 to go led him to his chaotic hot mess against tired legs. You're not the only one that thinks that there, too. Morning Planet John. And let's see. Dell, once again, and we've gotten into this discussion about captains and things like that. Brad wearing a captain's armband. He's not the only keeper that does it, but I know that the idea of having a keeper wearing the captain's armband is a hot and cold topic for a lot of folks. You want him to be engaged with center ref and not having to go all the way or have an appointee named in that particular situation for that to go down. Let's get into juice boxes and get into all the other news and things that will get you ready for Wednesday. Once again, with it being a schedule. I think we're back to 740s. Schedule tonight being what it is, since they are 740s, it will be a 6:30 start for the Five Stripes Countdown on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app with Abe and Maddie. Then it'll be Mike and Jason with the call. They will have the front office catch-up somewhere in the our pregame show, and then it will be Abe Gordon and myself after the match for the full-time report on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. So that's your rundown for all of the games. Once again, we'll go over broadcast crews and ref crews and things like that coming up in just a little bit. But let's get into your juice boxes and lay out everything that is there. And we'll let you know what's going on. So Atlanta United is a home dog at a plus 190. Your draw is a plus 268. And this is courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, taking the composite and averaging them all out. Orlando City is a plus 127. It is DC United and the Revs. It is fairly close. Christian Benteke did not start last time out. DC United is a plus 167, draws a plus 231, and the Revs are a plus 162. FCC in Dallas, FC Cincinnati, big favorite at a minus 164. Laurel Failer has an article up about Lucho Acosta and what it's like for him in Dallas and what it's going to be like going at TQL against his old team. FC Dallas is a plus 413. Your draw is a plus 305. Messi and friends, and this is a reminder to fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy. Messi and friends are a minus 238 hosting Montreal. And news out of Montreal yesterday is that it appears that Bristol City is interested in kicking the tires on George Campbell. Could be to the tune of about £1 million, but we will see. So you could have a couple of members from left back U and center back U chasing after, life in Europe, or teams in Europe chasing after center backs from center back U and left back U in Atlanta. So George Campbell, the tires are apparently being kicked on him for £1 million to go to Bristol City. Keep an eye on that. Draws a plus 408. CF Montreal, by the way, is a plus 532. NYC and the Dynamo. NYC at home, a minus 122. Draw is a plus 272, and the Houston Dynamo are a plus 323. Red Bulls in Charlotte. Red Bulls a minus 112. Charlotte a plus 266, and it is draw option is a plus 288. Your final 740 kick, Toronto and Philadelphia. Philadelphia at BMO is an even money plus 100. Draws a plus 254, and Toronto FC is a plus 260. 8 o'clock kick, Crew and Nashville. And this one is in Columbus. Columbus a minus 101, draws a plus 262. Nashville's a plus 246. 8:40 start. Austin hosting RSL. Austin a minus 116 to RSL being on the road at a plus 300, basically. Draws a plus 270. Seattle, once again, 9:40 kick, hosting San Diego FC. San Diego is a plus 292. Your draws a plus 274. Seattle a minus 115. 10:25, it is Cali Classico. LAG hosting San Jose. LAG a minus 108. Your draws a plus 317. And San Jose is a plus 233. 10:40 starts. There are two of them. Portland hosting the Rapids at a minus 149. Draws a plus 315. Colorado is a plus 363. Vancouver hosting Minnesota United. Minnesota United a plus 222 on the road. No improved room for them there. Draws a plus 254, and Vancouver is a plus 116. So that is your rundown of all of the juice boxes involving activity tonight. And like I said, we'll be flying around tomorrow, letting you know what's going on and giving you all of the updates and the numbers and the updates and all of those kinds of things. So let's get into the broadcast crews and let you know who is doing what where. And we'll get into the ref assignments as well to let you know who is doing what where. So match day 16. Mark Followell and Warren Barton, they are going to be calling the match tonight. And so it'll be Mark Followell, Warren Barton. They are going to be calling the match, Atlanta and the Purple team. Also, Nate Bacady, Devin Kerr calling FC Cincinnati and FC Dallas. Christian Miles and Lori Lindsay calling DC United and the Revs. Kanji and Danny are calling Messi and Friends in CF Montreal. Jessica Charman, Jamie Watson, they are going to be calling NYC and the Houston Dynamo. Also at 7:40 kick, Red Bulls in Charlotte, Sika and Sam. Tony Husband, Ian Joy in the booth for Toronto hosting Philadelphia. Tyler and Kendra are hosting Columbus and Nashville. Callum and Kalen are doing Austin and RSL. Keith and Mo are doing Seattle and San Diego. Rogo and Heath Pierce are calling LAG and San Jose. Jake and Ross are calling Portland and Colorado. Blake Price and Paul Dolan are north of the border calling Vancouver and the Loons. So you have that layout as well for your announcer assignments. But obviously, Jessica Charman getting to chop it up with Jamie Watson for NYC and Houston. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. All right, ref assignments. We're going to go and see who is where, who is doing what, and who to keep an eye on. Because, you know, you got to keep an eye on who is upstairs and who is downstairs. So, match day, this here match day, as we go through it all, how do we not have our assignments? Legitimately, how does Pro not have the assignments? I'm sitting here and I'm all excited about who's going to be doing what where, and the assignments are not up on the website. I feel denied I feel denied in my match day preparations. I absolutely feel denied in my match day preparations. So if we do pro referees, all right, so pro, if we go down to pro, do we have it? And they remodeled to a nice blue. They remodeled to a very nice blue. Super League Week 35. Okay, so it's on a document, but it is not in their assignments, and it has not been posted appropriately as a header. Okay, so Philip Dujic, however, is going to be at Mercedes-Benz against the purple team. Walt Heatherly, Gianni Facchini, and Abdu Njai are your ARs in your fourth. Remy Tuchon and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. Marcus de Oliveira is the man in the middle for FC Cincinnati and FCD. Logan Brown, Diego Blas, and Sergei Demyanchuk is your fourth. Kevin Stott and Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. DC United and the Revs, Pierre-Luc Lozier is the man in the middle. Andrew Bigelow, Adam Winkowski, Gerald Flores, your AR in your fourth. Jose Carlos Rivero and Mike Kampminer are upstairs. John Freeman, no relation, calling Messi and friends at the Erector set against CF Montreal. Kyle Atkins, Brooke Mayer, Jair Marufo is your fourth. Timothy Ford and Ian McKay are upstairs. NYC and Houston Dynamo, Rubiel Vasquez is the man in the middle. Eric Weisbrod, Justin Howard, Jeremy Shear, your ARs in your fourth. David Barry, remember him, and Brian Marshall are upstairs. It's at Yankee Stadium, by the way. Red Bulls and Charlotte at SI. Drew Fisher is the man in the middle. Ryan Graves, Liaz Arfa. Rosendo Mendoza is the fourth. Sean Tahini and Robert Schapp are upstairs. Toronto and Philadelphia get Guido Gonzalez Jr. FC Cincinnati fans will be keeping an eye on this one. Stefan Tanaka-Freund, Mike Nickerson, Mathieu Soir are your ARs in your fourth. Fotis Bazakis and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Crew and Nashville, Victor Rivas at lower.com. Jason White, Tyler Y. Rostick, and Sergi Boyko is your fourth. Jorge Gonzalez and Fabio Tovar are upstairs. Austin and RSL, Lucas Zapala is the man in the middle. Nick Uranga, Corey Richardson, Lorenzo Hernandez are your ARs in your fourth. Daniel Radford, Joshua Patlak are upstairs. Seattle and San Diego, Lumen Field. Ismir Pekmich, the man in the middle. Corey Rockwell, Eduardo Jeff Servando Berna, your ARs in your fourth. Eunice Marakchi and Red Hamill are upstairs. LA Galaxy, San Jose, Alexis De Silva, the man in the middle. Jose De Silva. Bruno Rizzo, Ricardo Fierro. We all remember Ricardo Fierro from this year. That's your ARs in your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich and Tom Felice are upstairs. Portland and Colorado, Chris Penso is the man in the middle. Chris Elliott, Megan Mullen, Corbin May, your ARs in your fourth. Jose Carlos Rivero, Mike Kampminer are upstairs. And Vancouver and Minnesota, Alan Chapman is the man in the middle with Catherine Nesbitt, Jeremy Hansen, and Alain Rook. Your ARs in your fourth. David Barry and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. And so that is your rundown of all of your officials and your officiating assignments for tonight. When it comes to pro and who's going to be where doing what. So you have all of your assignments going forward. So just so you know, and just so you know, because it's out there. Jeremy Cheer is going to be the man in the middle. Tom Felice, Jacob Little, and Stern Bream are you going to be your ARs in your fourth for Red Bulls 2 and Atlanta United 2 on Friday afternoon at 5 at Montclair State University Soccer Park. And that's going to be, once again, a 5 o'clock kick, and we'll keep you as covered with that one as we can. Once again, remember tomorrow, Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red as we turn the page and get ready in the quick schedule compression. Robert Roddy, the head coach of Georgia Impact and the WPSL, joining us at 9:30. Then the Power Hour with Nino and Nico at 10 and 10:30. When Nico comes in at 10:30, that's when we'll go over all the results from tonight in Major League Soccer, and we'll break that all down for you. Then at 10:30 on Friday morning, Ball Watchers, Jake and Justin from St. Louis, they're going to join us to talk about Olaf Melberg and what the search may be now for the new head coach at St. Louis City SC. Efforting our guest from Major League Soccer to be in the 10 o'clock slot, as it always is customary. Hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us, and we'll get you ready for juice boxes and everything else to start off our Friday to let you know what else is going on in and around the sport. So that's your rundown of all of your officials and all of your assignments to get you ready for this particular weekend. Once again, we ain't touching the juice boxes for anything else until we get through. Let's get through this week. Let's get through the midweek first, and then we'll go through all of the other things. Today, by the way, it is getting set for this weekend. PSG and Inter, just to run down Champions League. Once again, PSG favored at a +120, Inter's a +240. And your draw is a +231. Once again, you've got Europa Conference League getting ready, and that is today, 3:00. Real Betis and Chelsea. Chelsea favored, obviously, at a -115. 90-minute draws a +256. I like that one. Real Betis to win outright is a +330. I don't like that one. But I like that 90-minute draw at a +256. That is something that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on as we go here and lay it all out. Let's see. Arsenal have to pay £93 million to sign Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle is ready to dive in to get to chase after Mark Gahey and Brian Mbeumo. Brentford, in a very, very busy day with Ben Jacobs, is also now chasing after folks as well. So keep an eye on all of that. Chelsea fans, by the way, were tear gassed by Polish police after clashes in Wrocław. Apparently left the city, quote, like a battlefield, end quote. So you had Chelsea fans getting attacked. There are pictures. They are all out there, and this was from the city center yesterday. Chelsea and Betis supporters decided to pick up furniture and throw it at each other in the streets of Wrocław. Because, as you do. On Wednesday morning, the Gazeta Wrocławska reported that the city's market square, it looks like a battlefield in quotation marks, and that the cleaning efforts began at 4:30 this morning. So that would have been 10:30 last night, local time. 4 Spanish supporters detained on Tuesday. Following checks of CCTV footage, police are still searching for 9 other people who were involved in brawls. A group of Spanish men were also detained in the early hours of the morning, according to the Telegraph, after they were caught removing the official UEFA Conference League finals flags from a pole. Police in Wrocław continue to assure local residents they have sufficient resources to deal with any further issues before and after the final tonight. Gazeta Wrocławska wrote on Wednesday morning, supporters' visit will be remembered by Wrocław restaurateurs. Some of them have been cleaning their pub since 4:30 this morning, and there is no end in sight. The market square looks like a battlefield. The company's employees who keep the market square clean say that cleaning has been going on since early morning. The new shift started work before 6 a.m. Situation is worst on the northern frontage. They are still collecting piles of smashed bottles and paper pizza wrappers, end quote. So Mykhailo Mudryk has arrived for the conference final to the surprise of Enzo Maresca. Remember, Mykhailo Mudryk, because of the samples that have been analyzed, he is unable to play at the moment, but that does not mean that you can't support your club. And so Mykhailo Mudryk is supporting his club and being there in person in Wrocław. Manchester United have agreed to the £62.5 million deal to sign Mateus Cunha. And also in the Telegraph, we all know the cryptic comments of the former Al Nassr forward, CR41, Cristiano Ronaldo. And since they did not qualify for the FIFA World Cup, it's like, okay, so he posted what he was doing, that his time apparently at Al Nassr is done. But is he going to quit the Saudi Pro League? Negotiations with Al Nassr have been ongoing for months without resolution. Ronaldo has added speculation with that post on social media. So CR40, once again, best played footballer in the world. Gianni Infantino, in his interview on YouTube with I Show Speed, no word if there was a Logan Paul appearance there or not. Quoting Gianni Infantino, Ronaldo might play for one of the teams as well at the Club World Cup. There are discussions with some clubs. So if any club is interested in hiring Ronaldo for the Club World Cup, who knows? Who knows? Hired gun, Cristiano Ronaldo. Al Nassr did not qualify Al Hilal as Saudi Arabia's sole rep. The expectation is that Ronaldo may be planning to leave, according to Bert. May be planning to leave Al Nassr and will sign a short-term deal with one of the clubs taking part in the Club World Cup before assessing his future and deciding where he wants to play next season. Remember, the extraordinary transfer window does exist at the beginning of June. And so there is a concern about the level of interest with tickets still on general sale for most matches, including the opening fixture on June 14 between Inter Miami, Messi and friends, and Al Ahly. Inter Miami, and this is Jason Bird. Inter Miami are only involved because Infantino changed the rules to allow Messi's club to qualify because they get the host wild card, remember. And then Infantino comes storming out onto the erector set pitch and announces, yeah, first home match is going to be in Miami. And Inter Miami is going to have that first one match. If Ronaldo does play, Bert continues, interest from Wydad, the Moroccan side who are in the same group as City, as well as from Monterrey, where Sergio Ramos plays. There have also been links to Brazil. According to Bert, what will be of greater interest is where Ronaldo goes from here should he leave Saudi Arabia, given he's expected to continue playing. 800 club goal, 936th overall when Al Nassr ended the season with the defeat by Al Fateh, league's top scorer once again. Wydad, or WAC, is one of the favorites. The Moroccan side based in Casablanca, one of the most successful, are the most successful in the North African country, qualified after winning AFCON, or the African Champions League in 2022. Same group as Manchester City, Juve, and Al Ain. Recently signed three new players, including Nordin Amrabat, and hired a new coach to prepare for the Club World Cup. Monterrey, remember, they've got Sergio Ramos and Sergio Canales. And they're hoping that the link with Ramos would be a way to bring in Cristiano Ronaldo. Botafogo, one of 4 Brazilian clubs in the Club World Cup, handed a draw alongside PSG and Atletico Madrid. Won last year's Copa Libertadores, believed to have been the first to make the move for Ronaldo. John Textor, understood to be driving the deal. Their squad includes Alex Tejas, who played with Ronaldo at Manchester United and also at Al Nassr. Al Hilal, most successful club in Saudi Arabia, lost the title this season in the league, qualified by winning the 2021 AFC Champions League. They've been trying to hire Marco Silva as their manager from Fulham. Marco Silva's like, nope, not going. And their squad also has Alexander Mitrovic and also a bunch of other Premier League players. And so you have the hue and cry, not really far from any other analysis, that the Cristiano Ronaldo situation creates a gimmick or a gimmicky outlook for the Club World Cup in general. So you're just going to do that? So dude's a hired gun. You just hire him for the Club World Cup. You're turning it into a gimmick. So that's another one of the concerns. According to The Guardian, the Lionesses are going to be handed a record £1.7 million bonus package if they win the Euro in 2025. Arsenal are close to a Martin Zubimendi deal after agreeing to the £51 million release clause payment. Arsenal also remain in the hunt for Seško and Victor Gyökeres. Zubimendi turned down a move to Liverpool last summer, been linked with Real Madrid in recent weeks, understood to be set for a medical, having finalized personal terms for the move to the Premier League. It'd be a boost for Arteta and for Arsenal. Despite working on a deal to sign him, reports in Spain suggested Zubimendi was wanted by the new Real Madrid manager, Xabi Alonso, who coached him when he was in charge of Sociedad's reserve side. But it looks like he'll join Mikel Merino, who left Sociedad for around £32 million to go to North London next season. Structure of payments for the release clause believed to have been resolved. Arsenal confident of announcing Zubimendi as their first signing since the appointment of Andrea Berta, the club's new sporting director. So you got to keep an eye on that and keep hanging on to that as well. So that is part of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We'll get into more of that coming up in just a little bit. I'm checking through all the papers to see if I am missing anyone or anything when it comes to all of the work that is going on. We talked about Mitchell yesterday. And I know that this will shock you, and the scream that you will probably hear is Drew Dickinson. Manchester United this is the headline, by the way, from the Times. Martin Ziegler. And you know, when Martin Ziegler's name is on the byline, that's kind of rough. A financial analysis carried out for the Times reveals that Manchester United's huge spending spree should have yielded 33 more Premier League points. The worst value for money side ever in the Premier League. Third highest outlay in the Premier League on wages, transfers, and agents behind Manchester City and Chelsea, finished in 15th on 42 points. Analysis suggests 33 points fewer than the club should have achieved. Southampton and Spurs were the next biggest underperformers. Nottingham Forest the biggest achievers compared with their spending, followed by Brentford and Brighton. And I'm trying to find the graphic. So, yes. So it is a wage bill of £365 million. Amortization and agents' fees add another 220. So that's £585 million of costs. Expected points 75, actual points 42. Southampton, by the way, had an expected number at 42 points and they only had 12. Wages of 112, amortization of another 74. So with all of that they spent, they ended up at minus 30. Spurs at minus 20. Expected wins 58, expected points 58. Actual points 38. Leicester expected to have 19 more points than they did. Ipswich expected to have 13 more points than they did. Manchester City expected to have 8 more points than they did. Biggest bargain, once again, Nottingham Forest, your top 5. Liverpool being the top 4 bargain, by the way. Forest at number 1 at a plus 18. Expected 47, actual 65. Brighton was a plus 17, getting 61 points on the year, expecting only 44. Brentford once again overperforming at 56 points, expecting only 41, according to the graphics and the math put forth by the Times and Martin Ziegler. Liverpool, by the way, £386 million in wages. Amortization, another 135. So expected points was 70, actual points were 14. Bournemouth was a plus 11. Finishing the season with 56 points, wages of 136, amortization and agents' fees another 78. Newcastle is ranked number 6. Expected points 55, actual 66 on all of the costs of £340 million. Crystal Palace and Fulham, 7th and 8th. Villa and Arsenal, 9th and 10th. The only other club to be in the positive is Everton, who is 11th, and they were at plus 2 in expected points to actual points. So Martin Ziegler and his crew over at the Times, they decided to do some math, and here's what they came up with. So if you are anywhere close to wanting to read something today, it is now there. There's your Times article about everything that is going on with money and dollars in the Premier League. So there's your rundown there. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And then once again, remember tonight, 6:30 pregame on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Also, it is Abe and Maddie for the pregame, Mike and Jason for the match, Abe and me for the postgame. So that's your rundown for everything starting at 6:30 tonight. Remember, there's now an ultimatum for Bruno Fernandes, which I think is now getting close to 60 hours. Al Hilal have offered a deal to Bruno Fernandes and told him he's got 72 hours to make a decision, 4-letter paper. Now it's more like 60. Manchester City want Lyon midfielder Ryan Cherki, who's been linked with Liverpool and Chelsea. Everton have joined Leeds in wanting Newcastle's Callum Wilson, who's out of contract next month, according to the 3-letter paper. Spurs have been offered the chance to sign Leroy Sané from Bayern, who's going to become a free agent at the end of next month. Liverpool's Arne Slot wants to keep Cody Gakpo amid interest from Bayern Munich. Aston Villa looks set to sign Feyenoord striker Zepequinho Redmond on a free. Arsenal have held talks with Victor Gyökeres's agent in Lisbon and have made a £59 million offer to sign the Swedish international. Manchester United have agreed to a framework of Ipswich's Liam Delap, waiting for Delap to decide on his next move. Manchester United leading contenders to sign 16-year-old Southampton defender Harley Emsden-James. Harley Emsden-James for the defense. Faced competition from Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal. And then once again, what we found out in the Telegraph about CR40, trying to figure out what his hired gunness will end up being when it comes to the Club World Cup and where he would want to play next. We have to find all that out. First choice here in the United States. BNB en Español simulcasting Copa Libertadores doubleheader Nacional and Atlético Nacional. LDU Quito and Central Cordoba. Obviously, we'll talk to Nino Torres tomorrow about all of this. UEFA Conference League title, CBS Sports Network at 3 o'clock. 2 matches in the USL Championship, San Antonio, Tulsa, Vegas, and Phoenix. FS1 has your doubleheader in MLS, in addition to Apple TV+. Columbus, Nashville, LA Galaxy, and San Jose. We mentioned being in Espanol simulcasting the Libertadores. And you can do that. fntz.co/soccer down here on Fanatis. Fox Deportes simulcasting the 2 matches in MLS. Apple TV MLS Season Pass. You've got MLS 360 to walk you through it. You've also got each individual match. Jessica Charman calling NYC in Houston. Mark Falwell, Warren Barton calling Atlanta and Orlando. ESPN Plus has a USL Championship, Indy and Hartford at 7. Jägermeister Cup at 10 between Monterey Bay and Spokane. MLSNextPro.com has 2 matches. Loons 2, Whitecaps 2, Real Monarchs and Timbers 2, both at 8 o'clock. Paramount Plus, once again, Conference League and USL Championship simulcast from other spots. Thanks to Mike Gramajo. Thanks to Tyler Pilgrim. Thanks to you for dropping by, as you always do when it comes to everything going on here on SDH AM. Once again, tomorrow, remember, we'll go through what happened across Major League Soccer and Atlanta United last night. Probably do that in the last half hour, kind of an overarching discussion when Nico Moreno comes by, our friend from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. Nino Torres from Gold TV is going to join us at 10. We'll probably talk about Chelsea, Real Betis. We'll talk about Gyökeres and his future out of Portugal and whatever else is on Nino's mind when it comes to Libertadores and Sudamericana. Robert Roddy, the head coach of the WPSL Georgia Impact, is going to join us at 9:30. Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red is going to join us at 9:05 to talk about the Red Bulls from tonight and Atlanta and Red Bulls as we quickly turn the page and catch up with Mark about Red Bulls and Atlanta United. So that is the rundown of everything here on SDH AM. Once again, remember, sign up for the Morning Espresso. You can catch up with Jason, I think, live now on the SDH network, and he'll break down everything that's going on in his brain with what's on his list and his to-do list of stuff to look at and keep an eye on for the day. And that comes at you in the 8 o'clock hour. Then the 9 o'clock hour starts at 9:05. That is us, and we move everything forward into the midday, and we get you ready for everything going on here in soccer. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as Atlanta United takes on the purple team. We'll see what happens as Atlanta United tries to build off of their matchup against FC Cincinnati and how they attempt to do it against Orlando City. And will Ronnie Dowdle be wearing a white T-shirt? Inquiring minds. That's it for SDH. Back at it again in a little less than 22 hours since it is the end of the show. That means I get to do this. Mucho Plati. I'll play it safe. We'll catch up with you at Mercedes-Benz Stadium tonight. See you back here tomorrow.